So I'm representing Boost Human. We use artificial intelligence and we use mixed reality to target a lot of problems with the workforce. Training the workforce, getting skilled laborers, reducing the turnover rate or the turnover cost. We work with healthcare, we work with military, and so personally I think that this is now more relevant than ever. Let me introduce you real quick before we get started to the team. And I'm sorry, Alfredo is also here. So these young people at the bottom, it's a group of developers, mostly from UTEP graduates, and there's a couple of people from other places. And they look pretty young, but don't underestimate them. They've worked for NASA, they've worked for Lockheed Martin, they've worked for Army Research Labs, they have masters in computer science and software engineering and electrical engineering. They're doing their PhDs or going towards them. So they're really qualified, and they've been doing this type of development for over 5 or 6 years. And then on the top, our executive team, serial entrepreneur, Grammy-nominated CEO. Diana has worked for 20 years with Canon. Arturo has worked in the industry in Juarez. And right now we have a lot of projects, Gris, Juarez, El Paso. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the technology, just so that we're all on the same page and recognize, some of the concepts, some of the things that are out there. And then about the applications of the technology and sort of a little about the workflow and how we do this, right? So let's start with regional innovation. We're going to talk really briefly, or I'm going to talk really briefly about why people are adopting this technology, at what rate it's being adopted, where is it being adopted, and then we're going to go over some of the applications that we currently have deployed. We started this company, by the way, in 2017, but we've been doing this for many, many more years than that. So let's start with the predictions of the market adoption. As some of you were mentioning, the relevance of artificial intelligence, in this case we're talking about mixed reality, but they tie close together. Most applications work in conjunction. It's estimated that by 2022, and this is a sample of companies with over 250 employees in the United States and Mexico. And it's estimated that by 2022, 77% of these companies will have already adopted the technology in some shape, way, or form. Not only that, but the investment, so the adoption rate is spiking up, but the investment in these technologies is doubling year by year. And why do people use these technologies to begin with? Well, it depends on the application, depends on the technology, and we'll sort of divide them and classify them in a little while. But to increase efficiency, increase time and time fixed rates, safety, hands-free, working, training, knowledge transfer, collaboration amongst teams, amongst remote teams. Right now, we're using this, we're pushing this a lot for precisely the Juarez El Paso region, because it's getting harder to just make the trip around. It's getting slower and slower, and it's becoming a problem. So we're providing tools for that. Some people use it to contact their clients directly, to do customized projects, to optimize the remote processes, reduce travel costs, and some people actually, like Emma mentioned, there's some design activities in the region, so we build tools to facilitate that design operation. Okay, and we have additional benefits for our company being here. Like I said, we're all from around the region, Casas Grandes, Juarez, El Paso, Cruces. So we're all from around here, and we understand the ecosystem. We can build, our products are usually bilingual. We make them in English and Spanish, or both. Our collaborations with the region are pretty close, because everybody's just a short drive away. So it's really easy for us to actually go visit manufacturing operations, visit the OEMs, visit the universities, and work directly with all of you. We do a lot of systems integrations. Some people have already got a head start in implementing some of these technologies, and then they've stopped for any reason. So one of the things that we do is we continue building off from where they left, or we integrate with existing systems that maybe are not enabled by mixed reality or artificial intelligence or some of the other technologies. We always have new applications coming out. Some are really specific, some are really targeted to certain industries or to certain manufacturers, and some of them are just open applications that people can download, subscribe to, and use for different processes, things that are a bit more generic. And some of the applications that we built use very specialized hardware. Some of the other applications use just phones, things that are more ubiquitous that most people have. So, like I was saying, I'm going to explain really quickly. We have outside on the exhibit halls, we have demos for all of these applications, so I'm not going to go too in depth. You're welcome to visit us and ask us all the questions you want there. I don't want to get into in between anyone and their coffee. But I will explain a little bit about the technology so that if you visit us, you have a clear idea and expectation of what we're doing. So we use virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. And in a nutshell, these terms are usually used interchangeably, but what they are is, in virtual reality, you wear a headset similar to that. It blocks your entire field of view, so you don't see anything but the virtual world. One of the applications that we're demoing there, it's a training application for quality control. So remember that the company is called Boost Human for a reason. We're not necessarily automating, we're enhancing people's capabilities, right? We're boosting productivity, we're boosting the person, not replacing. So in this case, virtual reality blocks your field of view, and you're entirely in a virtual world. This is mostly used for video games, or that's where the technology started. But then it became apparent that it's really easy to use this for training, simulation, especially when you want to avoid placing a person in a dangerous or hazardous situation, but also when you want to simulate a failed condition. Let's say that you are a manufacturer of machinery and you really don't want to train your technicians by cutting that cable, right? You want to simulate those things. And for accessibility, right? Instead of sending that equipment, that material, the perfect example is flight training. It's not something that we're currently doing, but you don't send a plane and just put the pilot on it in different regions to do this sort of thing. You train them in a simulator. This is just an enhanced version in a virtual world. Use your hands, you control, it's not just video. Then augmented reality is sort of the next step. This is slightly different. This is, you see the real world, and then you see enhanced information on top of it. Now the example that I have here is to explain the technology, and then I'll tie it back to something more relevant to our audience. But augmented reality overlays information on top of your field of view. In this case, I don't know if you've seen some of the new cars that basically display holographic information to tell you where to turn, where you're going, what you're looking at. So really, you don't interact much with that information. It's just additional information that you want to see and access without obstructing what you're doing. If you do it through a headset, that means that you could be doing certain operation and you forget the step. So you immediately ask with speech recognition or something through a headset. You can ask, hey, remind me step 3 of process X and machine Y. And you automatically get the video with the information. And you can ask the system how to solve those types of problems. So that's one of the applications that we do. And then mixed reality. Mixed reality is more for design activities. It's one of the most advanced forms. In augmented reality, I can see a ball floating in the air. In mixed reality, I can actually grab that ball and throw it around. Now, it might seem like it doesn't apply or it's kind of on the fence, but a lot of these mixed reality exercises are to blend in holographic information with real machinery or real objects. And the workflow is sort of like this. Usually you want to learn about something. This is training, right? You first learn how to do the operation. What we're trying to do is train people faster and have them learn faster and smarter, better. We're smarter. Then even if you learn everything there is to know, eventually you'll have to troubleshoot. Something goes wrong, you forgot something, there's a step missing. And so then we provide tools for troubleshooting as well. Then finally, if you cannot fix it by yourself, then there's tools to connect with someone else that can help you out, which goes more into telecommunications. Now, I'm going to show you real quick the 3 applications, and you can visit and try them out, so I'm not going to spend much time on this. But back to virtual training. So training can be done virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality. Some technologies can be used for different purposes. In this case, the demonstration that we have there, it's a virtual reality training. It simulates a full training environment. This is actually in production. This is the 3rd version. They started using it in late 2017, I believe. They're using it in Chihuahua. And basically, they had this production line with, they were testing their quality assurance people. And this process had to be done manually because of the shape of the steering wheel. There's no way to put cameras and automate that process, or at least not in a cost-efficient way. It's very difficult. And a lot of the process is manual. So what they're doing is we gave them a library with over 2,600 different steering wheels with different defects that then they can test their employees with. That's how they learn. That's how they practice. And it gives them all the information they need, right? How long did it take them to find the defects? How many defects did they find? What type of defects are they good at finding? What type are not? This is one example of training, but there's many more, and I'd be happy to discuss any particular ideas or any particular questions later. And I'm going to show you just a really quick video to give you an idea of how this works. Just like a minute. So what we're looking at there is the big screen. It's the equivalent of the test administrator. And the smaller screen, there's Marco, one of our software engineers. And he's just setting the process, right? He's setting up the person to be trained. So he's selecting the defects, the steering wheels, how much time they have to do this. This is all based on the manuals from the company. He can generate lists, variants of lists. It ties to their employee number. And what he's doing right now is he's now taking the role of the employee in training. So once he wears a headset, he's in a completely virtual environment. He has the controllers of what he's able to do. And then he can start examining the items and choose through the controllers if it's a passing item or not. There's variants of this application, so it doesn't have to be steering wheels. It can be done with any quality control, quality assurance thing. Or it can be done to control virtual machinery, virtual objects, anything that can be done 3D graphically, we can put there and interact with. So let me skip ahead a little bit. Just want to show you I can't seem to speed it up, so we're going to have to wait like 10 additional seconds because I didn't see the video part. But basically I'll start talking about what you'll see next. So what's on the next screen, right after he's done with the steering wheels, it's the timing that it took to analyze each steering wheel, his ratio, his rate of detecting defects. He can ask for clues. So if you're using this for training, he can ask for clues and the system will provide the information of where the defect is. And basically this integrates into their own software. So we don't directly connect to their databases or anything, but they get all the information about how that employee is performing across time. So while you train, you learn how to do something, so then we move to guided processes. This is how we call, some of the troubleshooting. So this is meant for you to already be in production. You have your hands busy, you might be doing something dangerous, and you just need additional information. So rather than forgetting that step, going back to the manual, and going back and performing the operation, everything is in here. Another common case, it's in production lines where they require a setup or something else, and usually there's not as many technicians as production lines. Then a normal employee with no experience can just put the headset on, see all the steps through video, even through the point of view of the expert as well, and just perform them. So I'm going to also show a small video of that. And like I said, it can also be used for training. This is using Microsoft HoloLens headset. That console usually would be the real console, and he's controlling a robot arm. He's controlling it through voice. He can go see the robot arm, disassemble it, check parts, and use basically this as a guide to perform his operations. It works with hand gestures, it works with speech recognition, and it's completely spatial, so he can walk around it, go check, see through, and use this as a guide basically. We have also that demo running in the next room. And then the third tool that I'm going to show you, this is a telecommunications tool. This is basically like a video call. It's used for video conferencing with some special tool set that works in augmented reality, right? So this also uses spatial computing. Let's say I couldn't fix it on my own. I have to connect to someone that's somewhere else in the world. And basically, I can put the glasses that are over there or other type of augmented reality headsets, and I can put them on, and I connect remotely to my expert. My expert is looking at this from the screen, is looking at this from a phone, if they're on the road, from a tablet. Some people do an actual, like even touch screens. And then they can point, talk, draw, drop information, and there's a ton of features that we're still working on. So basically this is enhanced telecommunications. Whatever you draw, if I draw a circle around my laptop right now, or I'm wearing the glasses and somebody draws a circle right now on my laptop, and if I turn around, the circle will remain where I left it. And it works across multiple devices. I'm going to show you also a really short video. This is the application from the desktop point of view, on the large screen. So if somebody is logging in. And then there's many things that there's many ways you could do this. You could connect different companies to each other. You could create private presentations. You could enhance with some tools. And the smaller frame, you can see the equivalent of the frontline technician, basically just logging in through a QR code that was set up right next to them. And he's sending a call. The desktop, which is the remote technician, accepts the call. And then once you connect to the call, they share the point of view, they share audio, they share video. There's a ton of drawing tools to the left. And so you can just draw, indicate, talk, and we're working on passing information, videos, manuals, text, and other stuff. You can also try this demo at the exhibit. And then lastly, we also have this demo. This is maybe not as relevant for industry, but the people that you see there are not real people. Those are actually holograms. If you look closely, they're semi-transparent. This is one of the projects that we're working with NMSU. We're creating them virtual patients. So they're dietitians during training. Instead of training all the time with the real patients, they're substituting part of their training with digital training. So these are AI-controlled characters. They look like humans, they talk like humans, they recognize voice, and you can basically have a conversation with them. They're using it to diagnose patients. So we're doing a series of that type of agents for them. And aside from that, we tackle a bunch of other projects as long as the technology really falls into the categories that I just mentioned that we handle. And with that, I think that's all I have to show you for now. We'll have all the demos in the exhibit, and all the team is around here to help you or answer your questions.